So lads, today Sophie Cunningham was interviewed, obviously, after the entire fiasco. The entire Connecticut Sun fiasco. She was interviewed at practice. I don't think they really interviewed at practice after the for the goal.
Do you think Sophie Cunningham was justified in standing up for Caitlin Clark the way she did, or did she go too far? Sophie Cunningham just broke her silence about that wild ejection defending Caitlin Clark, and she's not backing down at all. Her new interview reveals exactly why she took matters into her own hands and calls out the people who have been targeting Clark all season. Her words are going viral for all the right reasons.
Just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
You know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
Sophie Cunningham just had her first interview since she became the WNBA's most talked about player, and I must say that she brought receipts with her after being disqualified for standing up for Caitlin Clark against the Connecticut Sun. Cunningham had the option of being cautious and apologizing, but instead she went all out and spoke the truth about what has been going on in this league.
Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. Okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some, ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical. And last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Who didn't witness the chaos? Let me explain. Things quickly became ugly during the Fever's 88-71 victory over the Connecticut Sun. Sheldon poked Clark in the eye during the third quarter, which was bad enough. Scrape across the face. Applause. But then Marina Maberry came charging in like a linebacker and shoved Clark to the ground from behind. The referees barely did anything about it, just handed out some technical fouls like they were giving out parking tickets. But Sophie Cunningham was watching all of this unfold, and she wasn't having it. With about 46 seconds left in the game, Sheldon was on a fast break when Cunningham decided enough was enough. She wrapped up Sheldon and took her down hard. No hesitation, no second thoughts, just pure protection mode activated. The arena erupted. Fans started chanting Sophie, Sophie as she got ejected. Her jersey sales sold out within hours. Social media went crazy calling her Clark's bodyguard. And now in her first interview since the incident, Cunningham explained exactly why she did what she did. I'm dialed and I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. Cunningham stated, I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities, and during that it was just part of the game. I think the referees had a lot to do with that. Did she just say a couple years? That's not talking about one game or one incident. That's talking about a systematic pattern of referees failing to protect Caitlin Clark since she entered the league. Cunningham is essentially saying what everyone with eyes has been seeing, which is that Caitlin Clark is regularly targeted, roughed up, and cheap-shotted while the referees just watch it happen. However, here's the money quote that has everyone talking. At the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do, and I'm a team player, so it's all good. Simple, no apologies. In essence, Cunningham is stating that she will defend Clark on her own if the referees fail to uphold their duties, and she is 100% correct.
Scrape across the face.
Consider what we've witnessed so far this season. Referees have repeatedly failed to call flagrant fouls or remove players for blatantly cheap shots, while Clark has been repeatedly targeted with dirty moves, shoved to the ground, and poked in the eye. Instead of genuinely defending the league's top player, they call out technical fouls as if they were helping the players. When Cunningham talks about a build-up over a couple years, she talks about every time Clark got roughed up in college and then in her rookie season, every time someone took a cheap shot and got away with it, every time the referees allowed physical play against Clark while calling ticky-tack fouls on everyone else. This is what makes Cunningham's response so perfect. Cunningham's interview reveals something that many fans have suspected but no one wanted to say aloud. There's been a coordinated effort by some players and teams to physically intimidate Clark, and the referees have been allowing it to happen. She is a seasoned player with years of experience in the league who knows exactly what she's doing. When she threw Sheldon out, it wasn't an emotional outburst. Rather, it was a well-considered message. If you want to target our star player, you're going to have to deal with consequences, not from the referees, who have shown they won't do anything, but from her teammates, who genuinely support her.
Overnight, Sophie Cunningham is like the second biggest star in the WNBA. Her jerseys have sold out. All of the race lesbians are going to be super mad at her. They're going to be super mad at that. Is her right there taking Jackie Sheldon into a clinch. Imagine I can't get over it. You're Sheldon and you're going to step to a girl who's got a black belt in Taekwondo. I think Cunningham could take everybody on that bench. Now Caitlin Clark is super popular, and now Sophie Cunningham is super popular for defending her. Just overnight like that, it happened, and I think that's awesome. WNBA, are you watching this? Are you seeing how this is working? Do you see where the eyeballs are going? And the interesting thing is that the only reason anybody even knows Angel Reese's name is because of how nasty she's been. And I just think it's amazing that you stand up for your teammate and you give the audience a good game. And look what happens. WNBA needs to be watching this. Other players should be watching this. Maybe some of these other players on Fever will stick up for Clark now every single time that they try tripping her, knocking her to the ground, poking fingers in her eye. I think all of the race-hustling lesbians in that league are going to be super mad now. Because here you got Caitlin Clark #1, and now you're going to have Sophie Cunningham on the same team. I love it.
And the reaction has been amazing in a matter of days. Cunningham's TikTok following increased from less than 400,000 to over 1.2 million, and her Instagram following increased by more than 300,000. Her sales of jellies skyrocketed. The best part of Cunningham's interview is how she calls out the real bullies in this situation. Caitlin Clark even stated that she would pay Cunningham's fine for being ejected, which says it all about how fans feel about what Cunningham did. They aren't purchasing jerseys of someone they believe went too far. Instead, they're supporting someone who finally stood up for what's right. As you can see, the media narrative has been trying to portray Cunningham as the aggressor. Some people have been calling her dirty or saying that she went too far, but Cunningham is completely altering that script by pointing out that the players who have been bullying Clark for years are the ones who take cheap shots and then pretend to be innocent when called out, the ones who try to intimidate a smaller player with their size and physicality, and the referees who allow this behavior by failing to call it correctly. Even if you watch this play, Cunningham's interview is powerful because she is essentially claiming that the referees are complicit in allowing Clark to be targeted because they refuse to perform their duties. She is not only defending herself, but also exposing the entire system that has permitted this to occur and calling out the hypocrisy of those who are more upset about her retaliation than they are about the initial cheap shots directed at Clark. Throughout her career, Cunningham has been the enforcer type. Every successful team needs players like this who are willing to take a technical fall or be ejected to send a message. She also touches on something that many people don't understand about basketball dynamics. She talks about how she's, quote, a team player and how protecting teammates is part of what she does. Players that force rivals to reconsider before compromising their stars, people try to act as though it's strange or incorrect when Cunningham does it for Clark, which is absurd. What's unusual is how long it took for someone with the fever to finally step up and do this. The Lakers had players like this for Kobe, the Bulls had players like this for Jordan, and the Warriors had players like this for Curry. Cunningham's interview also demonstrates how well thought out her strategy was. Rather than retaliating at random, she was waiting for the ideal opportunity to convey the ideal message. She allowed the first incident involving Sheldon and Marbury to occur, but when Sheldon attempted to score during garbage time, when the outcome of the game was already decided, Cunningham had the perfect timing. The game was already over, the Fever had already won, and Sheldon was attempting to boost her stats when Cunningham. Favorite player get battered while the referees do nothing. Cunningham understands all of this, which is why she criticizes the referees for failing to protect the WNBA's top player. Sponsors don't want to work with a league that can't protect its stars, and media coverage turns into dirty play. Rath essentially said, "Not in our house," and shut it down. The message was clear: if you want to make cheap shots at our star, you're going to pay for it. The fact that she was ejected doesn't matter. Cunningham doesn't care. She achieved her goal. She sent a message that will stick in people's minds the next time teams play. The players on the Fever will be more cautious about taking chances with Clark because they know someone on that team will make them pay for it. When Cunningham discusses, quote, a build-up for a few years, she demonstrates that she has been observing and taking notes, seeing how Clark is treated differently by referees and opponents, and she has made the decision to take action. This is what leadership looks like, not the rarest speeches or the inspirational quotes on posters. The interview also demonstrates how Cunningham has considered this situation beyond just one game. Let's face it, there is a double standard at play here. If someone had shoved the star player to the ground during a men's basketball game, there would have been an instant reaction, and no one would have questioned whether the enforcer had the right to retaliate. However, because it's women's basketball, everyone wants to regulate how players are supposed to react to cheap shots. Real leadership is being willing to accept an ejection and a fine to protect your teammate. In her interview with Cunningham, she essentially asserts that female basketball players should have the same protection as male players and that if the referees refuse to offer it, the players will take care of it on their own. The coach of the Connecticut Sun referred to Cunningham's foul as foolish and rude, but what was even more foolish and disrespectful was letting his players harass Clark during the game with no meaningful repercussions. When Mabry shoved Clark from behind like a coward, it was disrespectful and stupid. Cunningham's response, on the other hand, was strategic, calculated, and necessary. She saw that the referees wouldn't shield Clark, so she took action and did it herself. That's not disrespectful. That's having your teammates back. The interview also demonstrates Cunningham's depth of understanding of the wider picture. She is aware that Clark is the WNBA's biggest star and that defending her is about safeguarding the league's most valuable asset, not just one player or one team. When Clark is singled out and harassed, it hurts the WNBA as a whole because casual fans don't want to see their than fantastic basketball. Hashtag. What makes her interview so impactful is that she is not only defending herself or offering justifications, she is exposing a systemic issue that extends far beyond a single game or incident and calling out everyone who has allowed this situation to occur. She is not merely talking about protecting Clark as a Fever teammate. She is talking about protecting the face of the entire league. She knows that some people will criticize her for what she did, that opposing coaches will call her dirty or say she went too far, but she doesn't care because she did what was right. The referees, the opposing players, and the league officials haven't done enough to address it, and the fact that she's willing to play the bad guy to protect Clark shows exactly what kind of teammate she is. Fever supporters have responded incredibly well, understanding that Cunningham put her own reputation on the line to protect Clark, which is why her jersey sales exploded, her social media following skyrocketed, and fans were chanting her name in the arena. They know true loyalty when they see it. Cunningham also took an ejection and a fine to send a message that needed to be sent. The fact that Cunningham is telling the truth about what's been happening to Clark and that people are responding to that honesty is refreshing in a league where too many players and coaches try to say the politically correct thing instead of telling the truth. Her interview also demonstrates her lack of interest in playing politics or saying what people want to hear. Instead of giving a generic response about how she needs to control her emotions better or how she regrets getting ejected, she doubled down and explained exactly why she did what she did. Additionally, the timing of this interview is ideal. The league essentially admitted that what happened wasn't that serious when it announced that there would be no suspensions for anyone involved in the incident. However, Cunningham's interview makes it clear that it is serious because the pattern of targeting Clark is serious, the referee's failure to protect her is serious, and someone needed to step up and address it. Her remarks regarding being a team player also highlight a crucial aspect of the team dynamic. Cunningham's willingness to get sent off for Clark demonstrates how much the team values their star player and their willingness to make sacrifices for one another. Thank you for that. When players know their teammates will always support them, it builds a camaraderie that extends beyond basketball. Cunningham's actions and subsequent interview demonstrate that the Fever have that kind of chemistry. Cunningham essentially states at the end of the interview, "Everything about the situation is fine." That confidence and conviction are exactly what the Fever needed. For too long, Clark has been singled out while her teammates looked on from the sidelines. At last, someone stood up and said, "Enough is enough." She had no regrets, no apologies, and no second-guessing. She did what she felt was necessary and would do it again if the situation called for it. In addition to defending one particular instance, Sophie Cunningham's interview aims to expose a pattern of bullying that has been tolerated for far too long. She is calling out the actual bullies and making it clear that she will no longer tolerate it, and judging by the reaction from her teammates and fans, she has a large following behind her. Sophie Cunningham did more than just defend Caitlin Clark on the court. She also exposed the entire system that has been enabling Clark to be bullied for years. Her interview demonstrates genuine leadership and the kind of devotion that every team requires. Sometimes, you have to play the villain in order to achieve what is right. What do you think and adhere to?